Blessings once again. Welcome forward to chairlife.com. All glory to the true and living Creator, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Yahshua Mashiach, in Yod He Vav He, in the power of the Paracletus, the Ruach HaKodesh. Once again, welcome to chairlife.com. Chairlife Online Academies. I breathe success, paid tutorials. I'm your host, your master teacher, your master instructor, Talaku, the great owl. Yes, I guess the host came popping out because, doing all these videos for the Chair Life Network on YouTube. Old habits, live on. This is class 2, eating for health and well-being. And this is level 2, course 1 in our I Breathe Success Paid tutorials. In class 1, we broke down the digestive systems basically, and the essence of it was we look at some of the mechanical process as well as the molecular and chemical processes of digestion, and we looked at food habits in terms of consummation, heredity patterns, nutrigenetic patterns, that is your personal experience of the foods that you have eaten, food energy consummation patterns. And so we were laying out the argument for understanding the microbiome and how the microbiome will then affect mood, attitudes, motivation, energy, and being able to purport and propel yourself in right deportment through the living cosmos, having the successful outcomes you would have aptly desired. And once again, we remind you that our paid tutorials, these are not medical treatises on biochemistry, our medical knowledge on the whole system of digestion. These are functional and structural information that are succinct and are researchable and correlatable towards your outcome and functionality. You have to apply it to your behaviors, to your activities, to change or alter your native compunctions or your native dysfunctions rather. So as we move forward, like I said in my preamble, laying out the experience in class 1, for those of you who are following in succinct order, I give thanks that you have made the choice to pay for your instructional, and I truly hope that you're applying your physical exercise regime in training, behaviors, emotions, mentality, your sleep patterns, all things in synchronicity. The tutorials intensify as they go on, so all of your questions, I know, will be answered as the process goes on. So in class 2, we're going to continue the process of eating for well-being, finishing up digestion, looking at detoxification, and some of the processes of differentiating between food products and food itself, how our food energy needs met within the microbiome. The digestive system, as we'll explain, impinges upon right breathing patterns. The whole structure of the tutorials is around the power of breath. Hallelujah. The ability to use the pneuma. The pneumatic system pumps the air pressure, increases the flow and fluidity of nutrient-rich blood through your biochemistry. Now, in the process of digestion, when this nutrient-rich blood is lacking, low digestive processes because of unnatural, indigestible products that have been ingested into the body, sits into the inner echelons, right, of the lower intestine and, the small intestine and the large intestine, the colon. And so it sits there, rots, and creates many of conditions, right? Least of which is the irritable bowel syndrome, right? A lot of people find that when they've eaten, there's just constant diarrhea, and some people realize that they have frequent urinations, right? Because the body is basically losing electrolytes and basically getting rid of the waste. Because so much waste is being built up within the body is becoming more and more toxified, meaning it's a hostile environment to be lucid in, to operate in any depth of clarity or depth of functionality, let's be very clear. So digestion impinges upon the power of breath, which is restoring and maintaining the process of homeostasis, that is the right and proper functionality of our body in terms of the telemetric movement, right? How we move in the biochemical as well as the mechanical and keeps ourselves harmonious, standing upright, sitting, lying down, differentiations of air pressure and deep functionality. Digestion is lessened when you're obviously in certain slouches, slumbering posture. That means the mechanical function will not work. If you're in low emotional states, certain of the hormonal to the endocrine system will not be releasing. So certain fats that the bile needs to burn will not get to burn. You know, the endocrine blockers will cause emotional discrepancies in the behavioral tendencies of males and females. I mean, when the endocrine disruptors get really bad in terms of the kind of herbicides and pesticides and insecticides they spray on the fruits and vegetables that we consume, you find that, you know, atrazine is there kind of changing the biochemical makeup, you know, at the cellular level of the males, making males less masculine, basically causing males to lose the deep bass in their voices, becoming effeminized in terms of losing hair upon the skin, hair upon the face, some of the natural traits of testosterone, because a lot of these herbicides, especially atrazine, is causing an increase in estrogen levels in both males and females, but we're just looking at the male correlative. So it causes, yes, a lot of baldness in males, a loss of muscle mass in the BMI, and also in motivation and energy levels in the male. In the females, endometriosis is caused, ovarian, fallopian cancers, breast cancers, and a whole lot of other degenerative illness, leukemia, and other things which are the over-estrogenation of the female, again, based upon a lot of these chemical additives to herbicides, pesticides, insecticides that are sprayed on the fruits and vegetables that people consume, even within the physiological understanding of fruits being healthier, but then how they are prepared is duly considered in the process of what healthy choices are. You cannot just let the broad thought saying, oh, I'm eating vegetables and I'm eating this and it's halal or it's kosher or it's organic and it's PLU, it's got the organic code. Farmers market, or knowing your farmers, depending on where you are in the world, knowing their farming practices, the kind of insecticides, herbicides, or pesticides, or fertilizers, the ammonias, right, and the sulfates they're putting into the soil that is translating into the food, that these things are blocking the endocrine system, which is the body's natural hormonal system regulating through the hypothalamus, through the pituitary, the pituitary, as well as the pineal gland to regulate both sleep, sexual appetite, libido, especially for the men, find that they are low sexual appetite, right? Or the women find themselves acting more masculine, right? So these things are all connected to digestive health. Pardon me. These things are all connected to digestive health and the states that arise from improper digestion of food energy or food particulates in the body. You know, so we talk about the healthy cholesterol, the HDL and the LDL cholesterols, and you know, we know that essentially it is a correlative balance between both in your microbiome in terms of the pre and the probiotics that promote gut health. You know, because the stomach is called the second brain, hence it has synaptic functions or neurological functions mirroring your actual brain. The same kind of biochemical mixes happen in a synaptical way in your stomach. The gut health, the gut feeling, you know, you have an emotional gut response connecting back to the vagus nerve, to the Buttsinger complex in the brain, or the parafacial nerve system, which is basically the interactive presence of your biochemistry acting emotions and physiology, as well as biochemical movement in terms of hyper or hypo, high chemical inactivity or activity, or hypo, low chemical activity or inactivity. All these things are happening on the glandular level, hormonal level, leading to a blocking of the kind of insulin generated regulatory processes that diffuses all these complex poly and monosaccharides, especially the disaccharides, I should say. The oligosaccharides are like lactose based, galactose based, which are really coming from the mother and are not necessarily so harmful because those kind of create the structures and the fundamental microbiome that really regulates your gut health. and the epigenetic or the nutrigenetic evidence that is hereditary over time. Your gut health would have been connected to what your parents fed your grandparents fed your parents fed you, right? And now if you are a parent, you are feeding your children. So a lot of the degenerative illnesses and debilitating illnesses are started in a lifestyle choice, a removal from functional structure of how to consummate food energy. And so the wrong consummation of food energy will lead to the wrong processes of digestion. And so because it's a circulatory system, inflammation, the hypertensive, right, causes extreme bloating, edema, water buildup, fatty livers. Because the thing is that the body and the bile duct and the liver cannot produce the kind of lipids that burns the fats, right, to kind of return that overstorage of cholesterol energy into functional energy through the metabolic movement. That's when you're kind of high in cholesterol and the increase of fat and the fatty liver are the morbidly obese physical postulations or posture that makes people sluggish and sluggard, low in energy, low in libido, low in sexual drive, skin blotches, all manner of acne, because the body is pushing toxins through the skin, because lots of stuff is building up in the body. So cardiovascular health goes down. So people would say you need some anaerobic or aerobic exercises, mostly anaerobic cardiovascular exercises to kind of drum up heart rate, because you don't want the heart rate or the rhythm of which the blood moves through the biochemistry. That means how nutrient is reaching to your body. If it's taking longer, if it's getting harder, hypertensive, the pressure increases, right? Because we're a gastric system. We already talked about the gases in class 1, understanding the mixes in biochemistry, the mixings of the gases in carbohydrates, which are the complex starches, but most of us consume. We've got carbon, we've got hydrogen, and we've got oxygen, which is, right, carbon monoxide, the negative spectrum of the bad stuff, carbon dioxide, the internal mixing and diffusing, right, of nutrient energy released through hemoglobin in combination with oxygen within your biochemistry. All these things are important in your digestion, in your gut health, in your understanding of how to nutrients your being for optimum output, for optimum input is optimum output. Another word for output is input. Another word for input is output. What you put in, you get out. So you cannot build your structure of your microbiome on artificial sweeteners and all the manner of artificial food products, which we're going to look at next. There's some point in history that we moved, maybe in the last 80 years, away from a natural means of short-term preservation of food into food products to a more long-term preservation of and modification of food into a food product, or what people might call in this day packaged food products. And you have packaged meat products now, like Beyond Meat and Impossible Meats, which are lab-grown or genetically modified bioproteins assimilated, coagulated to make these new products, right? So people might be reading the labels and thinking that, okay, they say that it's high in this, it's good in that, but they do not realize that some things changes the very genetic makeup of your biochemistry, and that epigenetic memory, that epigenetic nutrigenetic knowledge is stored through heredity. Behaviorally, how have you been eating? Your health is connected to your eating. Your moods, your states of homeostasis, of healthy movement and telemetry, outcomes and inputs are based upon how you have always ate. So when you begin to eat out of sync with the ancient or established patterns in your family line, i.e. your culture, your family structure, your communities, when you start go out of the healthy alignment, your biochemistry reflects these morbidly obese states, as I said, and now the need for cardiovascular exercise ensues. Now, if you can exercise and get the anode fire of the breath going in, you will increase the energy flowing, circulating at the gaseous level, like breath, right, through your biochemistry. And by that circulation, they're then able to burn the complex fats that are storages because of the low metabolism. So with a high metabolism, you are then, in essence, burning equal to the amount of energy you're storing. So bringing your metabolic and your cholesterol levels to a reasonable close proximity, hallelujah, is better and healthier for you. Nutrigenetically, it is based upon your own blood heredity. Behaviorally, you can check that, as we said, by looking at how you react to foods that are different in terms of what you had as a child and what you're experiencing now with the food products. Now, when humans begin to change the foods into food products, like I said, it was short term. But now food products have gotten so seriously aberrated. Like I said, with the Impossible Meat and the Beyond Meat, there's a food modification. So this food modification now will have genetic implications, because now the body do not have the complex enzymatic action within its biochemistry, because it's not in sync with natural law to break these things down. We already explored in class 1 the fact that food products are patented by man, because natural foods cannot be patented, because the creator of the heavens and the earth, of life itself, is the creator of food. Food products, however, are patentable, and because of modern economics and the development of the market economy, food is a business venture and paraventure like any other, and as such subject to the forces which conflict and constrict within business and conflate within business. And so one of these things is that to make patentable food products as in substitution for the naturally genetic synchronized bioprotein or biofuel organisms, they have now altered the need for the organic biological organisms to a unnatural synthetic need that is commercially viable, replicatable, and patentable. And so these conflating statements ultimately means a food product is not food. It is not food. Its complex structures wears on the body. Its terminology of convenience will lead to a high food intoxication in the body. Lightheadedness, migraines, bloatedness, edema, many other states within the body are as a direct result of the complex modified biological organisms, whether of the flora or of the fauna, that is being ingested in our biome, microbiome, causing a endocrine disruption hormonally, behaviors change, moods change, sulking becomes a way of life, and the perpetuity of this creates the culture of those who are morbidly, continually depressed and suppressed and repressed, and so they aggrandize it, accept low and morbid states of energy, right, and make it into a cultural, appropriated, accepted way of life, slowly deoxygenating yourself, slowly creating super acidosis, an incredible buildup, pardon me, creating a super acidic buildup in the body, high carbon dioxide levels, creating hypoxia, low oxygen levels, hypoxic, low in oxygen, low in energy, hyperacidosis, high levels of carbon dioxide in the body, low level of diffusion of actual energy, low T cell counts, low B cell counts. The parasympathetic nervous system overworked. The sympathetic nervous system overworked. Your parasympathetic is out of whack. Your serotonin production levels in the stomach is connected to what? Addictive substances of sugar, salt, and trans fat. Things that are so complex, you'll have your body working on it for weeks. Hence the acne. Hence the weird change in color and tonality in your hair follicle. Certain subtle things reflecting deep disoriented, dysfunctional behaviors that are regulatory, that are regulatable by just being aware of it. So when you are getting so toxified, detoxification is the next thing. You have to detoxify. And the first level of detoxification, that when you're medically diagnosed as having an illness or some form of sickness, they check your urine and stool. Because all that toxin would cause a lot of frequent urinations, and in the urine would be the substance of all the toxic nature that is being produced on a microbiological level. All the stuff that's going in, toxifying the body and causing mobility and functionality to grind to a halt. They examine your stool, the waste product coming from the biological food matter. And so they examine what are the indigestible constants, parts per million of the toxins, right? Or are these unnatural elements within your biochemistry? Again, ingested through consummation. So the first form of detoxification is how fast do you get up out of bed in the morning. It indicates how quick the body wants that stuff out of it. How toxic it is, hallelujah, to the body. So the body is saying, number one, number two, number one, number two, now. That's not a good sign. Most people will have good bowel movements in the morning, but how fast? Another indication of whether or not you got good gut health is how you're getting up in the middle of the night and doing number one and number two consistently. The irritable bowel syndrome, or just suffering from diarrhea, your body's unable to put together the right digestive enzyme to be able to process what's ever in that. Sometimes the smell of your stool and urine medically are signs of what biochemical processes have gone awry. And if it's biochemically awry, it means that it's behaviorally awry. That means that you actually did something that is changeable. You did something that is reversible. And that means that you have the power, hallelujah, to affect that stinky outcome and make it more in sync with health. And so if you make it more in sync with health, your biochemistry will reward you, right? And detoxification doesn't have to be when you go to a special herbalist now and they're telling you, hey, there's this substance is good for this. These things are the after effects, right? After you have caused yourself a lot of hurt. So there's an old-fashioned adage that says prevention is better than cure. So in order to prevent those debilitating outcomes, it's better that your inputs would have been more in alignment with your desired outcomes. So if you want to be healthy, right, I would suggest you choose healthier food choices, food energy choices. And so